No. Yeah, now we're live.
Okay. Hi, everybody who is listening to us too. So I think Nasta suggested that participants will introduce themselves if they want. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. And another small question for participants again. Orkide, is it okay for you to start? Because we decided on contra-alphabetic order. Will it be okay for you to start? Okay, good. Yes, loud here. So, hi everyone. Uh, we will have sort of, I think, not a discussion, also a discussion, but mainly a listening event today, which is called Right to Complexity, Feminist Methodologies of Understanding in Times of War. And this event has a long story for me, but I will not take a long time because I really want to hear what everyone here has to say. So I will just say that, yeah, just a second, I had it somewhere. Yeah, so before the war started, the war in Ukraine, which is the war for me right now, but there are other wars going on. We were planning to do a discussion on feminist methodologies, and as Russia invaded Ukraine, it was no more possible to think about anything else but war, at least for me. And so we decided, or we were thinking about methodologies of understanding. And yeah, I have a lot of stories of my personal frustration with like this very separation between what is called geopolitics, like give me some analysis, geopolitics, some Russia against NATO, whatever, and with a complete dismissal of the experience of people who have actually who are dealing with war or who are dealing with everyday life of war. And yeah, and this experience is also very much political. And speaking with activists and with other people, also with refugees, I realized that there are similar frustrations for people coming from Palestine, from Afghanistan, and from Syria. And I also tried to find a kind of for myself, like psychological, I don't know, refuge or something. In conversation, like you couldn't find it in conversation with people from neither from activists here or some, I don't know how to, yeah, sorry, it's emotional. And yeah, so there was like the biggest understanding was actually from refugees coming from other countries with war, like from Afghanistan, where when I was actually speaking with them, like the most important and vivid bit for me was when the person said that they, looking at the pictures from Ukraine, they are nostalgic for Afghanistan. And it's like it was also like on the political level there was much more understanding. And yeah, so I'm thinking about this again, coming back to this very separation between like experience and ideological. I feel like it is very hierarchical, and you can find it in some friendly activist spheres, but you can also find it on the level of media and governments and whatever. And they also like this very separation it also participates in European politics towards refugees. Like it's built like this this division between experience and ideology and experience and what is called political is also like also means a lot of time denial of experience for certain people. And yeah, I don't know whether I was clear enough, but there was also a description. I will. So I'm thinking about experience as a complex political tool that helps to fight exploitation and divisions on different levels and for people coming from different contexts. And I just want to say that also one thing I've learned from thinking, like we have written the text, the announcement of the event multiple times with Marina and Vika, and there was a lot of criticism and self-criticism, and I just want to state that understanding is a process, and yeah, it's important for today too. And yeah, just to oh yeah, and now some technical details. Um, so I'm sorry, there's like sorry. So some technical details. First of all, there is a recording going on. So if any of the speakers, any of you don't want to be recorded or don't want to be present in recording, you can say it now or later. You can speak without camera, but we can also cut your speech out later if you don't want it. And the structure will be as following. We will have short statements from all our speakers, whom I'm really happy and honored to see here. And then we will have a short break and discussion. So the first speaker is Orkide Işçi. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any name, please tell me, or just say it for yourself. And please also say a few words about yourself at the beginning.
Hi, everyone. My name is Orkide, and I'm currently living as a migrant woman in Bologna, Italy. And I make part of different groups like Coordinamento Migranti di Bologna. The translation would be Migrant Coordination of Bologna. And in the same coordinamento, we have the Women Assembly, Women Assembly of Migrants Coordination. And with this Coordinamento Migranti di Bologna, we also make part of a bigger group, which is called Transnational Migrants Coordination, where there are different groups of migrants and non-migrants people who are doing activism on the ground together, and they participate to this network. And at the same time, I make part of a group called East, and it stands for Essential Autonomous Struggles Transnational. And there we have many feminist groups from Central and Eastern Europe and beyond. With beyond, I intend Turkey and Georgia, especially. I'm originally Kurdish woman from Turkey. So it is very important, I think, in this beyond that there is also Turkey, Kurdistan, and like all these parts that it comes from. And I think today we have also some people from Afghanistan, if I don't remember if I remember well. So yes, this is a really great debate. I think that it's going to be today. And departing from methodologies, I think like thinking from especially experiences, I think it might be kind of tricky because in this especially recent period that I participated to some transnational assemblies, especially in Greece, I observed something that also in these spaces where we have really interesting political debates, sometimes I think experiences are not understood very well. I'm going to make now a concrete example in order to explain myself. When there are like this kind of wars or conflicts, and then when there are people who are coming from this area, this interested area, so there is always this thing that those people who are coming from these areas of conflict or war zones, that they come only to present their experiences, but they don't really make part of the political debate going on. So sometimes, for example, in a really last assembly that I participated, there are these women. I'm not going to say the name of the country because it can be understandable. So I don't want to give any hints in order to make it recognizable. So there were these women who just like were put on the let's say on a table, and they were like talking, but they were talking only about their experiences, like what they experienced during their arrival to Europe, let's say. And it would be better, I think, these people, these women who could have, yes, started from their experiences, but I think in this kind of assemblies, especially, even though they're all people that we think that we share the same political values, but it's sometimes I think we need more reflexivity also on these groups that we think we make part of and we make part of, but unfortunately we need more reflexivities, because also we reproduce in these spaces that we consider them like safe spaces, and like spaces where we all kind of debate with people who are not exactly the same ideas, but on the same, let's say, ground that we're like departing from. So like seeing these women that they are talking only by their experiences without participating to a real political debate, I think it's problematic, because then these experiences become only a performance. And I think it doesn't, and making experiences as performances then become problematic because it essentializes them. In order to avoid, I think we need to be more, we need to create more real spaces where we can have a real political debate, and not only listening to us and say, okay, this is your experience, okay, thank you very much, and then I talk, okay, this is my experience, okay, thank you very much. But we need to make in connection these experiences. We need to communicate, really communicate, not only listening to them and say, okay, I'm so sorry for your experience. No, but we have to really talk about these experiences in a real way, also trying to go further on these essentialisms. And in this sense, I know, and then I'm going to tell another thing from another very recent experience I had in a feminist conference. I'm not going to tell again the place of this conference. And there was this huge debate, oh my gosh, that there were like some women. Okay, so there was this keynote speech, and this keynote, the person who gave this keynote speech was not from Ukraine. And some people from Eastern Europe got very, let's say, they criticized in a very, also a little bit aggressive way, that this keynote speech should have been done from a person from Ukraine, or from a person from Eastern Europe. And then so like we had the like debate on this. So I think when we talk about like experiences just like as performances, then we have also this kind of problem. So then, you know, in order to like, let's say not all women are feminists, and not all feminists are the feminists that we share the same ideas. They are like also radical feminists, let's say. So it is, I think in this kind of debate we really miss the point of the also what we are talking about. We need to be really careful also when we talk, like not only who is telling what, but also who is telling what, in the sense that also this person who come from these conflict zones of these areas, etc. We need to know that maybe they are not really saying the things that they are really critical. I think it is very important to have a critical approach also for the people who just had this kind of experiences, and that's why I was saying that let's go beyond this essentialization in this sense, because like also if a person maybe who like follows and studies and sees and engages herself or himself in a on these questions, I don't think that we should just like criticize their personality, their identity, but we also really take care, like make attention of what they are saying. So let's say if I'm from Kurdistan, so that means like, okay, I'm not saying, I cannot say, I don't want to say that only people from Kurdistan can talk about Kurdistan. Also because when it comes to especially this, especially we are seeing it very much in the migration struggles, I think it is very important also the engagement of non-migrant people in our struggles, because we need to get more powerful in our struggles, and we can get more powerful also if we have people who are not only migrants but also who are not migrants, in order to connect our struggles based on also race, class, gender, like I'm talking about intersectional struggles in the sense. And it would be very important on this sense to think about these intersectional methodologies and really try to go beyond this, let's say, essentialization. I cannot say the word essentializations. Okay, thank you very much. I think my minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for your contribution. It was a perfect start, and I think, yeah, I've experienced a lot of similar things, and yeah. So I'm sorry, I was a bit in a rush, and I forgot if Marina, do you want to say something now, or do you want to say something maybe in discussion later? Like, because you also are co-organizing, and I just.
Hi, I just wanted to say hi to everybody, and that I'm really glad to see you. Some of you I see in the like for the first time, and for me it's more like my participation in the organization of this discussion is more about learning for me. And my thought is like was very simple, that to practice solidarities with somebody, we should first of all educate yourself about what these persons actually need and what, like, how they what type of solidarities they want from us. And as a person with the Russian passport, for me it's like yeah, it's, I don't know, it's more about like listening and self-educate. And also I'm used to work in the cultural sphere, and the topics about migration and refugees, and of course the war is something that I want to learn more about. And I'm really thankful to you all that you agreed to participate in this discussion. And yeah, that's all, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Now I think I can continue. And next is Nastya Podorozhная. I hope, yeah, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I believe I might have some problems with my connection. So if I freeze or something like that happens, please wave aggressively to me, maybe write something in chat so that I could, start over or something. But I really hope that my speech will be smooth in that sense. So I'm a Ukrainian who's based in Poland. I've been living in Krakow for 8 years. And before the war, I was not engaged in activism. I was in academia for a little bit, and I worked as a journalist. And as a journalist, I covered a lot of topics of female rights in Poland, which is obviously a hot topic there. I covered Black protests, the female strike. And when the war started, all I could think about was how to support my country after what happened. I myself had to escape the war because it caught me while I was in Lviv supporting my family. So we escaped together with my family, and as soon as we crossed the border, all we were thinking about was basically how can we volunteer and what can we do to use our best skills to support the country, because I truly believe that this is the task for people of Ukrainian heritage now. And soon after an interview I did with human trafficking experts, this was 10th or so day of war, I realized the scale of this huge problem. And basically this conversation is what inspired me and my other amazing friends to create this grassroots movement called Martynka, which started as a hotline for safety of mostly female Ukrainian refugees in Poland. At the beginning of the war, we were thinking of situations when people are left without, let's say, relatives who are left under occupation, and they have to go to Poland, and they have no one to talk to, no one to discuss basic safety rules with. So our chatbot supported people who turned to us. We would provide them with the safety rules. We would just check on them every couple of hours if they are safe, if no one has captured them or anything, because the scale of human trafficking and numerous types of fraud was and still is enormous. There are so many people who genuinely want to help, and there are so many people who want to use the vulnerable position of refugees to trick them into all kinds of fraud and crimes. And after our collective saw the development of Martynka in going after the women, going after their experiences. I know the previous speaker criticized this word. But we were trying to go after their needs, basically. And this is how we, right now, most of the things we're doing is helping with psychological aid. So we have an amazing network of psychologists, Ukrainian and Russian-speaking psychologists. Mostly they are refugees themselves, who, exactly like I wanted to help, they also want to help. They also want to contribute their best skills into supporting Ukraine, and they are providing their consultations for free to women who text our hotline. And the other big thing is obviously reproductive rights. We provide information on when to get an abortion in Poland, which is a super complicated topic in this country. We help with emergency contraception, the day after pills, which are also not available without prescription in Poland. And it's quite complicated for a refugee to get one, especially considering that you need to take it very, very quickly. I mean, it's an emergency. So this is me just presenting very briefly what we're doing. And when I thought about the topic, this amazing title, Right to Complexity, I immediately thought about my experiences with how about the different discourses that refugees were put into, and that I observed from my colleagues, activists. Like, we have beautiful network of people who support refugees from different organizations, Polish, not Polish. There are different foreign organizations who come to Poland and try to help in different ways. And also there are small Ukrainian organizations like ours. And I wanted just to share my experience with But basically, what are these discourses around refugees are? So the most obvious one presented both in the activist circles, especially coming from foreign activists and from journalists very often, is this, I would say, miserable discourse. You know, people feel like hungry, affected by war trauma. I believe that, you know, no one knows what war trauma is. Like, everybody has their own imagination of what a war trauma is, but suddenly everybody says that, like, all Ukrainians coming abroad have this magical, like, whoever knows what it is, war trauma. I very often, when I describe it in Ukrainian, this kind of discourse, I use Ukrainian word znedoleni, which means that their destiny has been taken from them, you know, which really means this objectification. You know, their destiny is taken from them, and now they are the objects of our aid. We are helping them. Very often people from abroad, this is just my experience, people from abroad who come to save Ukrainian refugees have this very, very serious savior vibe. Like, I have the food, I have the knowledge, and I'm going to save you right now. The other discourse, very popular in the media, I think, like very, very important one, like it's an important topic, is the discourse of privileged Ukrainians. So I think this was something briefly described in the description of the this event, that Ukrainians, like an average Ukrainian arriving abroad right now, evacuating from the war, would be a white woman. And there are certain privileges affecting their experience. I need to turn off these notifications, or we're all gonna, I'm sorry, disabling quickly. Yeah. No, yes, sorry. So yeah, these the privilege discourse. So yeah, there are certain privileges that come with this, with being a white woman. Like, for example, what I observed with Polish police, when the Polish police gets calls from us saying that there are, for example, suspicious men on the railway station, they really do arrive and they really pay attention and they really take those men away, which is, you know, not something. Refugees from other countries, when they're dark skinned, don't get like 5% of this empathy that Ukrainian women are giving. And this is something I'm definitely observing. On the other hand, I feel like this discourse is, in a way, very harmful to the Ukrainian women themselves, because they still have so many, like, there are so many aspects to their experience. Ukrainian women, even before the war, have been the most trafficked women in Europe. Before the war started, on dark web, there have been memes and whole instructions and guides on how to capture Ukrainian women when the war starts. And I feel like we are, like, in many cases, especially reading some articles, we are really losing these very, very important aspects of like what does it mean to be a Ukrainian woman escaping the war. Also, like, living in Poland for such a long time, I know where this compassion from Polish police comes from. Ukrainian women have this very special kind of stereotype of being, you know, the coming from the East, you know, kind of a little bit more wild women, a little bit more feminine, like good wives kind of vibe, which also, you know, on the one hand, there is a lot of empathy. On the other, you know, there's this stereotype. There's huge problem with rapes. We receive so many requests from women who report violence and who are not in the position to report this violence because, for example, just to name one recent case, I've had a request from an 18-year-old girl who survived an attempt of rape, and she does not want to go to the police because, like, this violence came from the host of the hostel where she rented her room, and she's not reporting this host because her family is still renting room from him, and she's afraid that they will have nowhere to go if she reports this man. So these are the kind of super complex socio-economical situations, like gender-based situations that we are dealing with. And just to say that, you know, Ukrainians have it easy and that they receive so much support, like look at Poland being so heartwarming and accepting everybody, is just such a generalization, such a dangerous generalization actually, because this is a perfect situation for all types of crime. when, you know, the refugees are accepting any kind of help because they kind of have no choice, you know, they're escaping war. Of course, they say yes to help. They're not being very critical. And the society thinks that it's completely fine, that amateurs can provide this help, that anybody can like take anybody on a bus and take them anywhere if they just say that they're good volunteers and they have stuff to offer refugees. Of course, these kinds of stereotypes, I'm approaching towards the end, I promise. These kinds of stereotypes, these kinds of discourses are generating distrust, which I also observe as a person that answers to requests on the hotline. There's distrust for volunteers, distrust for people, for institutions, and for infrastructure. And here, for example, I can refer to my experience with providing information with abortions. There is super high number of people who, for example, decide to, you know, make a twist to the instruction to the abortion pills. For example, take half less than what the instruction says to take, because, like, you know, people just don't trust the instructions of the pills. People don't trust volunteers. People, you know, the woman says, well, I see myself bleeding. I see that the abortion is already taking place. And for some strange reason, the instruction asks me to take like 5 more pills. Why? I just stopped taking them. And then the next day, for some reason, she has an infection. And now I have to help not with abortion, but with an infection, which was completely, you know, this shouldn't have happened. So this is the direct example of like how this like stereotype and this attitude toward refugees, you know, becomes a threat to health, a threat to numerous crimes, and yeah, and just it affects the experiences directly. I really hope, yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to your inputs. Thank you so much for inviting me. That would be everything from me.
Thank you, Nastya. Orkidea, did you want to say something or no? I just said I saw some sign and yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the next speaker is 2 speakers, is Natasha Tseluba and Anatan, and they are together curators, and they will tell about themselves.
So I would like to start. And I would like to go into speaking Russian language because I'm not feeling free in English. So for me, it's pretty hard to describe myself, first of all. And is it not complicated for other speakers? Окей, да, всем привет. Для начала я бы хотела все-таки уточнить, это у нас как бы вводная часть, или мы высказываем какие-то топики из наблюдений, которые мы бы хотели сегодня обсудить. Вот.
Я на русском буду отвечать, это нормально, да? И хорошо, спасибо. Это немножко о себе и стейтменты уже вот эти 7-8-минутные, но так как вас двое, то у вас есть 15 минут на двоих, вот, примерно.
Ого, класс. Все, спасибо большое, Вита. Да, значит, о себе. Я коорганизаторка, коинициаторка независимой ассоциации кураторов, которая называется Curators, которую мы организовали вместе с Аней официально в 2015 году, неофициально в 2014. Ну, в общем, вот с 2015 года продолжаем активную деятельность на такой интересной нише, которую мы для себя выбрали, как художницы, перформерки в том числе. Это кураторские практики по репрезентации политического независимого искусства из Украины и построения как бы диалога между странами, между которыми происходят какие-то конфликтные ситуации. То есть мы придумали для себя концепцию построения диалога в какой-то очень комфортной, условно, среде, которая может найти в себе какой-то отклик или поучиться чему-то у конфликтных, у историй, которые мы репрезентируем. И так мы занимаемся организацией фестивалей, выставок, каких-то творческих кинопоказов и ивентов на территории Европы. Это в основном Франция, поскольку мы себя идентифицируем как франко-украинская организация. В основном это Франция, и мы сотрудничаем с художницами и художниками, политическое отношение которых в жизни проецируется на их политическое отношение, политическое пояснение в их искусстве, да, то есть ретрансляция их политической повестки, она аргументирована и транслируется на их акты художественных действий. Вот. В основном мы занимаемся перформативными искусствами, но за время взаимодействия и существования нашей организации мы нашли себя в разных медиа, в том числе в фотовыставках, в каких-то музыкальных ивентах, в каких-то фестивалях, открывающих или раскрывающих темы эротического, сексуального, телесного. Вот. И, собственно, в начале войны, переходя уже к каким-то более темам, которые я бы хотела, не знаю, может быть, обсудить, или которые мне более созвучны в контексте этой дискуссии, мы в начале войны с Аней подумали, что вообще-то хорошо бы для себя провести такой небольшой чек по поводу вектора нашего в системе координат, и написали с ней, как мне кажется, относительно небольшой манифест, который Марина отредактировала. Спасибо большое тебе, Марина, пользуясь случаем. Вот. И, собственно, в этом манифесте он состоит из двух частей. Первую часть транслирует Аня, вторую часть транслирую я. Это наш опыт критических, аналитических наблюдений, нашего позиционирования. Я пребываю сейчас на территории Украины, Аня пребывает на территории Франции. Этот манифест можно почитать. Мы перевели его на французский, и он есть на русском языке. И мы поясняем там разные моменты, с которыми мы сталкиваемся. Собственно, я, например, в своей части рассказываю о каких-то сложностях, связанных с какими-то очень специфическими, я бы даже сказала, не знаю, атовистическими актами насилия публичного на территории Украины, как, например, всевозможные видео о том, как наказывают мародеров или мародеров, привязывая к столбам и все такое. Рассказываю о своем отношении к российским художникам и художницам, и белорусским в том числе, с которыми мы ранее сотрудничали, поскольку это очень сложная тема, довольно-таки сложная, потому что я осознаю всю турбулентность, которая происходит сейчас в украинском сообществе, и тем более в художественном сообществе. Но, пожалуй, это очень хороший момент для того, чтобы, простите, несколько эгоистично, но самой себе отождествиться как авторка этой части манифеста. Вот. Я думаю, что мы могли бы расширить его со всеми участницами. Да, я могу этим заняться сейчас, а тем временем хочу предоставить 6 минут славы моей коллегине Ане.
Can you hear me? It's okay. Okay. Well, I think I'll speak in English because it's a little bit complicated to speak in the Russian about art projects because I don't really. I mean, it's quite seldom that I speak about my work in Russian. Yeah, what is a new interesting challenge for us with Natasha? It's for me personally, since I live in Paris, I'm a Paris-based artist and activist. It's dealing with European institutions who which are supposed to deal with art and the way kind of we pursue it nowadays. Like first of all, we are really up to organizing a new event, and so which is kind of a quite conflictual situation with art institutions, because there is a lot of art activists, and in France especially, that kind of try to take over the problem of war and serve their own purposes, either like just pure advertising or getting state fundings. So for us, it's a new unknown challenge that we have never faced before. But it's also, again, a sort of I don't want to say hypocritical thing, but we also have to play on the same level and say, and as Nastya was saying previously, kind of play with this image of pure like misery and stuff, because otherwise we have feeling that we will never be heard, because art is not really judged upon its quality but upon its social aspect, and which is, you know, it's a quite an interesting paradigm, because we are strongly against this, and meanwhile we have to compose with this, you know, social image of Ukraine nowadays. Yeah, and in terms of statement, we've always been up to creating dialogues, and which is also quite interesting nowadays in Europe and in European art institutions, is that this dialogue is kind of forced upon Ukrainian artists. So what is sometimes it's due to the lack of understanding of the situation, or sometimes it's due to, again, some fundings that are given to create this dialogue. But quite often all the sorts of interaction and discussion is about European kind of colonial and post-colonial paradigm, where they expect Russians and Ukrainians to discuss, and it's kind of must feel quite reassuring. So yeah, and we will be happy to share some experiences in terms of our collaboration with artists and their perception on the European scene. Personally, I am not really volunteering, because then I felt quite guilty at the beginning of the war, but it's just kind of it's stepping out of borders of my psychological health, and so I made a decision to work and help in the domain that is mine and truly mine, which is art and art management, art production. And so it's pretty much the only way I'm really kind of involved in this war nowadays. Yeah, and yeah, it's been a very long history, you know, of love-hate between kind of our small grassroots organization with Natasha and different institutions like Ukrainian embassy or Ukrainian cultural center, then afterwards Belgian Ministry of Culture, and then nowadays French Ministry of Culture. And at the end of the day, it feels that we can only be have this kind of approval during the wartime as a small cultural institution of a very small scale. because otherwise we were never heard by almost none of French institutions. And so, which is again quite of hypocrisy, because you are forced to use this image of a country in war to help the country in war, but still kind of, you know, it's a very very complicated feeling. Yeah, so I think we are, I mean, me personally, I'm pretty much done, because Natasha said a lot of things already.
Okay, yeah, we can continue, and maybe just I have some questions to ask, but maybe discussion then. So our next speaker is Marina Shmanova.
Добрый день, я буду говорить на русском. Меня зовут Марина, я из Херсона. 24 февраля я с семьей выехала из Херсона. Сейчас живем в Берлине. Я директорка феминистической квир-инклюзивной организации. Вот. Ну и у меня есть и другие идентичности. Я активистка, перформерка и так далее. Вот. Чем мы занимаемся сейчас? Ну, то есть раньше у нас было много творческих проектов, был комьюнити-центр в Херсоне. Сейчас, в общем-то, основная наша деятельность – это попытки вывести людей из Херсона. Херсон – это оккупированный город. Туда нельзя заехать, нельзя выехать. Вот. Ну, то есть за 3,5 месяца нам удалось вывести из Херсона более 100 человек. Вот. Мы на это фандрайзим, мы на это ищем финансирование постоянно, потому что вывозить людей из Херсона – это очень дорого. Вот. Мы вывозим в основном женщин, квир-женщин, квир-людей. Вот. Активисток. О чем, собственно, я хотела сейчас сказать. Сказать я хотела о этом вот механизме войны, который лишает людей субъектности. Механизм войны, когда я говорю механизм войны, я имею в виду не только воюющие стороны, да, не только политические стороны войны, вот, но и тех, кто остается в стороне, те, кто освещает события, те, кто оказывает помощь, те, кто как-либо в этом задействован, в том числе даже не вмешивающихся наблюдателей, да. Вот. И что делает этот механизм? Этот механизм лишает субъектности на каком-то очень таком тотальном уровне. Во-первых, это лишение субъектности происходит, ну да, война – это статистика. Вот. Мы все, живые или мертвые, это количество тел. Вот. Такое количество тел было спасено, такое количество тел – это погибшие, такое количество тел – это там, раненые, пострадавшие, беженцы и так далее. Все мы исчисляемся в штуках. Вот. Всех нас раскладывают, вот категоризируют по вот таким вот полочкам. Вот. Очень жесткая гендерная категоризация, половая категоризация, она обострилась, да, ну, когда там такое тело должно служить в армии, такое тело может выехать, запрет на выезд для всех, у кого в паспорте буковка М. Что это означает? Это значит, что если твое тело не вписывается в одну из этих двух категорий, вот, у тебя проблемы. Потому что на границе тебе говорят, иди служи, у тебя тут в паспорте буковка М. Вот. А если это трансгендерный человек, допустим, трансмаскулинный или трансфеминный со смененным паспортом, если такой же человек не хочет выезжать из страны, а хочет служить в армии, идет в военкомат, то ему говорят, ты ты не военно, ты не годен к службе в армии, потому что у тебя психиатрический диагноз. Вот, то есть с обоих сторон есть трансгендерные люди, которых не выпустили, есть трансгендерные люди, которых не взяли в военкомат. Вот. То есть такая категоризация очень жесткая, что можно и что должны женщины, что можно, что должны мужчины, это все очень, очень усиливается. Если, ну и это опять-таки лишение субъектности. Это о том, что человек, ну, в общем, за тебя как бы конфигурацией твоего тела или гендерным маркером в паспорте уже решено, что ты можешь делать, что ты не можешь, что ты должна делать, можешь ли ты быть беженкой или нет, кому на фронт, кому в тыл. Тела, которые не укладываются в эти стандарты, оказываются лишними и проблемными. Помощь, которая оказывается жертвам войны. То есть, да, вот это вот очень обезличивающая такая вот формулировка жертв войны, они как все какие-то одинаковое спасаемое тело. Когда тебе помогают, когда ты там беженка, жертва войны, вот, то ты вот именно спасаемое тело. Ты не специалистка, не художница, не квир-активистка. Твои потребности – это вот эти вот базовые потребности в койко-месте, в куске еды и так далее. Ты полностью обезличиваешься, ты полностью лишаешься субъектности, тебе помогают как телу. Все. Еще одна сторона той же самой штуки – это политики, миротворцы, люди, взывающие к миру, которые тоже являются частью вот этого же лишающего субъектности механизма войны. Сейчас я живу в Германии и периодически слышу мнение, слышу разговоры о том, что почему бы Украине не отдать часть территории, чтобы сохранить человеческие жизни. Что в этом контексте человеческие жизни? Как видят эти человеческие жизни? Это тела с сердцебиением. Все, это не субъекты. Наша воля, наша воля к сопротивлению, наши выборы, наши идентичности разные, они остаются в слепой зоне. То есть сохранение жизни как остановка огня считается таким вот, видится как реальная возможность сохранения жизни, просто не замечая того, что это субъекты, которые будут сопротивляться, поэтому их жизнь не будет, может и не быть сохранена таким образом, потому что они люди, они сами сопротивляются, даже без оружия сопротивляются, да, то есть вот такое лишение субъектности. Ну и, конечно, женские тела, которые, с одной стороны, становятся жертвами войны, с другой стороны, становятся мотивацией для воинов, да, то есть такое еще более тотальное лишение субъектности. Война лишает субъектности всех, мужчин и женщин, но женщины объективированы еще до этого. Вот, и сейчас становятся законной добычей, становятся спасенными, и вот это измерение в спасенных женских телах чьей-то гуманности и человечности – это тоже форма лишения субъектности. То есть это нужная вещь, которая действительно должна происходить, но я вижу, как мы все больше становимся просто телами. Вот. Наверное, у меня все.
Спасибо большое, Марина. Катя, хочешь вопрос или?
Не, я хотела просто после Марины, потому что, похожий опыт, и тоже думала, как раз думала об этом ощущении себя объектом статистики, и, при попадании, особенно это чувствовалось при попадании в Австрию, то есть ты проходишь ряд процедур, перед тем, ряд категоризаций, для тебя есть очень конкретное место, Ну, я тут хотела сказать немножко, ну, только хотела сказать, да, сейчас, да.
Прости, пожалуйста, Катя,
Ага.
прости, пожалуйста. Давайте спросим только у Элиф, если она не против, чтобы ты говорила сейчас, потому что она была следующая. Может быть, она просто спросим. Элиф, are you okay if Katya will speak now and then you will go? Because Fatima is missing, and is it okay if Katya will speak first? Do you hear me? Elif?
I couldn't hear you, the last sentence. Sorry. I'm trying to understand the voices.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Just we are changing order. Is it okay for you now?
No. Is it okay? No problem.
Okay.
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the question.
Да, в общем, переживать на себе эту полную потерю субъектности было, то есть я это ощутила еще 24 февраля, когда вот прогремели первые удары, первые взрывы, и я вышла на улицу, и стало понятно, что все люди, которые не военные, они больше не имеют значения, то есть их жизни абсолютно, их жизни остановлены в плане, все, что было раньше, никакие больше институции не работают, кроме того, что поддерживает армию и того, что там, помогает армии. И это было очень сильное визуальное, визуальный шок, когда ты видишь, как все бегут, или там, вышли взволнованными на улицу и ходят по улицам абсолютно спокойные военные. И я еще тогда поняла, что мирная жизнь закончена, и все, что для тебя имело значение до войны, оно теперь больше не имеет абсолютно никакого значения, все может быть разрушено. Еще тоже до войны, я помню, как изменилось состояние до войны, я думала, 2 или 3 месяца эвакуировать ли мне там свои работы, куда везти детей и так далее. И тут эти все, а как же я буду без своего двора, или без чего-нибудь еще, и тут это уже все абсолютно, ты понимаешь, что твой двор больше тебе не принадлежит, даже еще до оккупации. То есть все превратилось в какие-то стратегические нужды для армии. И я понимаю, что и тут уже потом возникает другой вопрос, что вообще теперь делать, потому что все какие-то более сложные вещи, кто бы чем ни занимался, у кого какое мнение, это уже в реальности войны этому места больше нету. И для меня теперь вот большой вопрос, чем является, например, работница культуры в этой ситуации. Потому что, одни считают, что культура — это оружие, много есть мнений на этот счет, но я для себя, я не знаю, я думаю, что, наверное, это попытки все-таки сохранить эту сложность, которая была до войны, хотя бы здесь, в рамках культуры, активизма, попытаться вернуть эту субъектность, потому что ее, украинцы и украинки потеряли ее и в Украине, и вне Украины, на самом деле. И еще хотела сказать насчет того, что есть определенное неравенство, да, есть неравенство в том, что происходит с беженками, потому что если ты, например, студентка, или ты, есть больше преимуществ у молодых, и у тех, кто является, например, студентками, это сразу, легче включиться включиться в новую ситуацию через университет. Или если ты занимаешься гуманитарными исследованиями или какими-то этими природничими науками. Но очень много у меня есть знакомых, дальних родственниц, например, или знакомых, воспитательниц, например, из нашего садика. То есть эти люди не могут себе найти место в Европе, они приезжают сюда со своими детьми. И если у тебя нет знания языка, каких-то связей профессиональных, то люди не могут найти работу, они не могут выжить на минимальные выплаты, и многие возвращаются в Украину и остаются там в опасности. Да, и тут уже тоже думаешь о том, об этих людях, которые и остаются или возвращаются, о том, что уедут, конечно, не все. И, я вижу, что в европейском поле внимания находятся в основном беженцы, но беженцы — это, это минимум, большая часть людей все-таки остается. И большинство украинок, например, никогда не покидали территории своей области, не большинство, но многие. И я сначала не могла понять, почему люди остаются под обстрелами, не уезжают. Потом я прочитала психологов, военных психологов, что и для ряда людей там самый большой шок — это, например, увидеть эти все разрушения, а для других людей, которые там не знают языков, никуда никуда не выезжали, для них страшнее всего поменять свое место, и они все равно останутся. Они остаются и умирают. И, ну, я не знаю, что с этим делать. Вот, но вообще, да, это я то, что хотела, ну, то, что я хотела сказать, это я собиралась говорить потом, но вот Марина, когда начала рассказывать, очень сильно срезонировала. Вообще, я художница, да, и занимаюсь феминистской апроприацией, ну, такого консервативного медиа, как живопись, и, ну, я вообще
Катя, ты немножко зависла. Let's maybe wait for a minute and see if Katya comes back. If Katya doesn't come back, we can come back to her later. By the way, I don't think that I said about it. Oksana Potapova cannot participate as a speaker today, although Oksana was announced as a speaker. And but I hope Oksana will be present as a listener. And also Fatima Nazari is not here and maybe come later. So, Marina, do you have contact with Katya? Do we know what? No?
Yeah, I will ask her, like, if she can join again. I think that something just happened with her connection, and I will ask her just now.
Okay, well, while we were talking, there was a question, like, because it's not a question for discussion. It was answered. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just, I don't know, should we move to the next speaker? I can
Also, I want to just add
maybe.
that, yeah, that Katya is an author of the artwork that we use as a in the announce, like, yeah, in the announce of the event. And I believe that we forgot to mention it. It's like we will do it in all the social networks. Yeah, and I wanted to just do that. Yeah, thank you, Katya. And the title is actually the title of the artwork.
Ой, извините, интернет слетел.
Yeah, Katya, I'm just saying about your artwork that you agreed to give us to make use it as a public image for the discussion, and that its title is «Я не согласна жить в мире, который воспроизводит массовые безымянные могилы». And in English, I do not agree to live in a world that reproduces mass unmarked graves. And yeah, I'm sorry, I just realized that we didn't mention it in the announcement, and we will make it like, yeah, so.
Ты можешь продолжать, Катя, мы подождали тебя.
Спасибо вам, извините, у меня просто проблемы тут с интернетом, он слетает. В общем, да, я остановилась на том, что я занимаюсь феминистской апроприацией такого консервативного медиа, как живопись. И, ну, тут важно сказать, что когда я училась, мое образование было, с одной стороны, очень консервативным, но очень консервативным и репрессивным, но при этом я смогла наладить свои собственные отношения с живописью. И уже там к концу учебы мне стало очень интересно исследовать наши методы обучения, потому что, честно, монументальная живопись напрямую связана с трансляцией идеологии. Вот, и мне было очень интересно это апроприировать. Я начала делать монументальные работы сама, там, без согласия с какими-либо институциями, но то есть я апроприировала этот инструмент и сделала его собственным. И потом поняла, я думала о том, что все, что угодно можно там переприсваивать, и все, что угодно может быть выражением там, твоего голоса или голосов других людей. Да, я занималась, это называлось «Монументальная пропаганда мира моей мечты». Я рисовала на улицах, наблюдая там за рядом там консервативных студентов, за тем, как правые реагировали на наши феминистские акции, я поняла, что можно, например, находить что-то, что объединяет всех людей, да, и если не использовать какие-то символы, например, там радугу или что-то вроде этого, на что сразу люди агрятся, появляется какой-то, гэп, и люди начинают там задавать вопросы, им не совсем ясно вообще, что происходит, и они начинают задавать вопросы, и это позволяет тебе вступать в диалог с противниками, там, например, феминизма или ЛГБТ, и оказывается, что их можно даже переубеждать. Вот. Большинство там моих рисунков на улицах не были там, закрашены. Если были, то жеками, а не, например, правыми. Вот. Да, когда началась война, я первые там, недели 2 была в состоянии аффекта, и первой моей реакцией было сказать о том, что, первой моей реакцией было удивление по поводу того, что Россия теперь начинает создавать в реальности эти все ужасы с картин Второй мировой. Мы когда учились, копировали их очень много, учились на этом. То есть вот эти все дети с оторванными руками, ногами, вся эта антифашистская живопись, она вдруг стала производиться теми, кто мифологизировал Вторую мировую до такой степени, что сами стали чудовищами. Вот. Да, потом я объявила себя кладбищем. Когда мне стало немножко получше, я решила, самой большой проблемой стало вот это понимание того, что ряд вещей, которые я любила, уже исчезли, и с этим уже ничего нельзя сделать. Тогда я объявила себя кладбищем, что я буду располагать в себе все, что исчезает. И работы стали чем-то вроде кожи, когда ты ты стараешься изобразить побольше того, что ты любишь, для того, чтобы сохранить хотя бы воспоминания об этом. Вот, и я начала думать о том, что только воспоминания невозможно украсть, что это, единственное, что будет принадлежать тебе всегда. Вот. А потом, потом я опять вернулась к тому, что тоже исследовала и до войны, вот этом образе дегуманизированных, каким образом, то есть до того, как ты можешь кого-то убить, нужно сначала объявить их не людьми, вот, и, эта дегуманизация, да, как сказала, сейчас Наташа, как сказала Марина, дегуманизация происходит с двух сторон. Она происходит и со стороны там, российской пропаганды. Все, то есть люди в Украине объявлены нацистами. Типичный тоталитарный метод. Кто угодно может быть объявлен нацистами и убит. Или кто угодно, кто был убит, объявлен нацистом. То есть все люди в Украине там в опасности, да, поэтому тоже невозможно тут сказать: отдайте часть своих территорий и будет мир, потому что люди на этих территориях уже объявлены, врагами, и вряд ли многие из них выживут. Вот. Жертв будет огромное количество. Да. И поэтому я тоже рисовала эти массовые, я выражала несогласие с массовыми могилами и хотела говорить о них, потому что мы можем увидеть, эти захоронения, они находятся не только в Украине, но и в других странах, которые окружают, которые как бы вторгались в российские войска, просто там, мы это сможем увидеть только если туда придут люди с камерами, и это будет показано. Сейчас мы можем только читать о том, что, о каких-то массовых кладбищах в Мариуполе, в Херсоне или в Донецке и Луганске. Вот. Сейчас я нахожусь, сейчас мне очень тяжело. Я пытаюсь пробиться, пытаюсь исследовать и российскую пропаганду, и следить, как бы понять для себя эти методы дегуманизации. И первое время, когда война только началась, я ощутила себя тогда в первые дни частью большого коллективного тела. То есть, вот ты слышишь взрывы, и ты видишь, что армия стала, что все стало принадлежать армии, но при этом ты испытываешь большую благодарность за то, что ты там, например, смогла убежать, смогла уехать, потому что вдруг ты понимаешь, что там твоя жизнь, сохранена ряду усилий там других людей. Вот, и мне тоже было и больно, и важно, и интересно наблюдать за этими изменениями своего состояния, состояния других, когда в первое время все почувствовали себя частью коллективного тела, потом вдруг опыты разделились, там опыты тех, кто остался в оккупированных городах, были уже несоизмеримы с опытами тех, кто, например, в свободных городах, а также опыты тех, кто находится под обстрелами, их нельзя там сравнить там с моим опытом, но при этом все эти опыты, непростые, но они разделяют нас, и мы уже как будто не можем пробиться друг к другу. И мое сознание, то есть я уже не в состоянии аффекта, я уже не в психозе, но, допустим, не могу там говорить с теми, кто еще находится в аффекте, и в то же время чувствую кучу стыда и вины за то, что вправе ли я вообще говорить, вот. Но потом начинаю думать, ладно, вправе, потому что меня же, в принципе, хотели убить, и если я там сейчас замолчу и там, утоплюсь в чувстве вины, то как бы, я как бы довершаю эту работу разрушения, которая была направлена. Потом я начинаю думать, на кого именно было направлено это разрушение, кого именно во мне хотели уничтожить. Да, и когда, вот я сейчас вижу усиление, национализма, например, в Украине, и думаю, да, это неизбежно в ситуации войны тоже, но я сама националистка никогда не была и не стану, но мне все-таки становится интересно, кого же хотели, уничтожить. И да, вот, сейчас, да, когда я нахожусь в более безопасном месте, хотя тоже у меня нет своего дома, то есть мне предоставляют жилье, и мне предоставляют все, и то есть мы с 2 детьми теперь вынуждены будем какое-то время скитаться. Непонятно, как выстраивать планы на будущее, потому что ничего не ясно тоже. Но да, хорошо, что у меня есть живопись. Это единственное, что может, не знаю, да, создавать что-то вроде своего пространства вокруг себя. Да, еще забыла сказать, что для меня живопись — это не что-то ограниченное там форматом, а что-то, у чего нет границ. Я считаю ее продолжением своего тела. Вот. Все, спасибо. Так.
Спасибо большое, Катя. Да, тоже очень много общих каких-то эмоций, хотя я вообще не живу в Украине. So our next speaker is Elif Berg. I hope if I mispronounce anything, please, say it right. And feel free to speak about yourself too.
Thank you. Sorry, just I couldn't get the sound voice of Vita very well. The others, no problem with Marina, but with Vita, it's really too loud. Yes, so that's why I couldn't hear before when you mentioned me. Sorry for
Okay,
this.
sorry. I also have
So-
sore throat, so I'm trying to be like speak, but still like take care of it. So yeah.
Tamam. At the end, we communicate. So, as you say, I am Elif from Kurdistan and based in Kurdistan. I'm not a refugee, but we live in a war situation for long years, and we can say, we experience this refugees in political sense and in, in our daily lives and in whole lifetime, let's say. So it's not the point here. I think when we talk on refugees or when we talk on war, the war policy and what women face, what people face, come face to face in situations of war, to be refugee or the experiences of refugees, if I spell it right, refugees is I think the last thing that we need to talk, because as we see, for example, in this, especially last years, thousands of people die on the way to Europe. They lost their lives. And they were not, they were fleeing away directly from a war situation or from the situation that these long-lasting war conditions create. And now within Europe itself, there is a more, let's say, hot situation with the new refugee situation. So I think it's important to first try to talk and analyze about the reasons, the conditions that create this refugees, and makes people to flee away from their countries, from their lands, from the person that they love, from the places that they belong to. I think we need to start criticize this and analyze this and organize, to say the last point to say at the beginning maybe, and to organize cooperation and the solidarities or the common struggle on this basis to fight against the system that creates this crisis in our life. So in these terms, we can say that it's very important to come over with crises in our personal lives, the chaos that we live, to pass over from them, over them. It's very important to have this consciousness that we have there's a reason for this. We live this, and this is because of let's say, I will say enemy. And I will mention enemy as the capitalist patriarchal system itself, which is based on ongoing war in between states, nation states, the idea of nationalism, racism, sexism, and fundamentalism. On these basics, they reorganize themselves, and they attack people, they attack communities, they attack women, and they are the reason that people were in this chaos, or people coming face to face with trauma. So we need to organize, or we need to fight back. We need to fight back against this system, or against in particular, in terms of particular sense, or in general sense, let's say. When we take the idea, the concept of refugees from this perspective, then there appears that there are different options, or there are different ways also. For example, we don't have to be a refugee in another country, in another society that we never, we don't know anything, or as Nasia say, that our destinies are taken from out of our hands, or to die under the attacks of these states, nation states, capitalist states, let's say, we can fight. And beside this, if we have to flee away or evacuate our places, we can keep our social organization. We can keep on to organize ourselves and preserve our communities and try to fight for to go back, or fight for to take back the thing, the land, or the values, or the life that is trying to be taken out of our hands. In this sense, I think in Kurdistan, we can give some concrete examples. For example, I don't know if you are familiar with the Kurdish context, but from 992 onward, there is Mahmur refugee camp. It's a official known refugee camp under UN refugee commission in Iraq, based on refugee camp. This Mahmur refugee camp is based on Iraqi lands, but since 92, it's too very long. Actually, I cannot count 20 years there, 30 years, more than 30 years. These people, about 12,000 people, from Bakuri, Kurdistan, they have to flee. They have to evacuate their villages because of war, because of the Turkish state's attacks, and they have to go towards south. They pass south of Kurdistan, and they went to the Iraqi border with Kurdistan, and there they were forced to change 7 camps, 7 bases. Now they are from 98 onwards. They are located in the refugee camp, which is now in Mahmur, the city of Mahmur, and they organize themselves. They have schools, they have communes, they have councils, they have women organization structures. They have a life. They build a life. Their destinies, as you say, this is very sparkling for me. They rewrite their destinies. They don't accept, for example, they didn't accept the situation, the position of refugee who are always expected to want to demand, or who are always expected to be in need with other, for example, institutions like UN or the other countries, NGOs, or other things. We can say, it's not an exaggerating, actually, we can say that they rewrite their destiny, and in a third way, let's say. So now they still keep the hope. They still keep the hope to go back to live again in their villages in Bakure, Kurdistan. But on the other hand, they are not in daily sorrow of this, and they are organizing their life. And this is kind of one of the example of this political being, to combine, as you declare in the declaration of this activity, This is the combination of experience and policy. This is the ideology, the daily life and policy all together. So nobody is talking on behalf of them, and they are talking on behalf of themselves and struggling to build their lives with self-organization of themselves. Another example, a more close, near example, we can say from the occupied Afrin people, from occupied Afrin. When Afrin in Rojava Kurdistan, the West Kurdistan known as North and East Syria, the part of Kurdistan there, in 2018, when Afrin was come to face with a Turkish attack, Turkish states, Turkish attacks, and at the end occupied. People from there, they decided they resist for 60 days. They fight. There was an actual war, a very harsh war. Afrin is a very still very small city. Even maybe, I don't know, maybe we can compare with the in between city and village, let's say, not a big city, but they resist for 60 days, and after 60 days, they decide to evacuate the city, the people there, and the council of People's Council of Afrin, and also the warriors in the Afrin. They decide to evacuate the city, but they evacuate the city just to locate themselves just next to the occupied area. So Tel Rifat and Shehba. I don't know if you are familiar. Shehba and Tel Rifat is the area, the region that refugees from Afrin within the Kurdistan, they still in Kurdistan, but they are refugee because they evacuate their place and they have to leave them, but they don't, for example, some of them, they choose to go further, go to other cities, faraway cities. Some of them, let's say, they try to go out, go abroad for Europe and for Iraq and for other countries. But most of them, they stayed there just next to the occupied region in Tel Rifat. And immediately, in the first month, they, even though they still didn't have tents to live under, they build up their coordination structure. They build up their people's councils, and they try to find out way. For example, they build up their women-only organization structures. And at the end of 1 month, 2 months, when the administration of northern eastern Syria, let's say the people from there, they say now, we think now it's time to go there and to take care with these organizational issues, because they think that the first day people will just deal with their, their sorrows, their pains, and they will not deal with or get interested in organizing the society and organizing the life by themselves. But when they went there, they see that people already did everything, organize themselves, they build the thing, and they just say, give us tents, and that's all. And now when we see the refugee, the Shehba, the refugee camp there, especially in the kind of desert place, in front of all the tents were like a small garden, a very colorful garden. So this means there we see, especially women, because they are very much connected to the lands. They are very much connected to feel themselves belonging to these their places. So they are insisting on to build the life that they organize, they used to, the place that they are. and they are also doing this in a very political sense. And they are saying that if we leave there, if we go far away, we know that they will also occupy these places, or if you go far away, it will be difficult or harder to come back. So with this consciousness, for example, they organize their daily lives, and their feelings, their emotions are all built up on this idea that we will go back one day, but until we go back, we will not just, stop and cry or just demand things, the basic things to have maintain lives and survive in life. So they produce, but on the other hand, the crisis is appearing kind of, so as I said in the beginning, seeing the reason for war, why we are always have to face with war, for example, why Ukrainian people, or why Afghan people, why Kurdish people, why other people, why we are facing with this, we see that at the end the reason there is the crisis of system itself, and I think what we name as Third World War, but not in the narrow sense that is has been started to talk in with Ukraine and Russia, the Russian occupation on Ukraine. This is not the process. The Third World War starts more before, and now they are trying to, the system is trying to make all of us victims of these wars, and by this way to control us, make control over us more easily, and make their ideologies strong by using these conflicts that appears among people, with this confrontations which are appearing during confrontations. For example, when racism rise up, so nationalism, sexism, all these things we see is, and the far right fascism is rising up, very peaking up in this period. So this is also good. This is also a good thing to make system working. So the reasons and the conclusions, the results that we face as peoples, we see that are the pieces of the puzzle, the same puzzle. So against this, to get out of this puzzle, not to accept to be part of this puzzle, and find the way to build up third way. Find the ways, find the methodologies, find the possibilities, build up the possibilities to find our third way, wherever we are over the world, is the best thing and best solution that we can do. And for this, for sure, it's not an easy thing, or very, let's say, in a short time end. So this is my last sentence. I think that's for now I can say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elif. I think, yeah, third way thing have been heard already a few times, maybe today, or it's just in my head. And I'm thinking, yeah, I have a comment, but I'm also restricting myself from it. So I'm sorry also for a bit of time inequality, because I'm getting more like empathic and softer towards the end, and it's harder for me to interrupt some people. So like, or to control time. So some first people spoke a bit less. So Fatima, I think, is not coming. Amena, you are speaking now, the last one. Do you hear me, Amena? Amena?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Hello to all. Just as the first, I want to know that since I was not connected the first moments of this meeting, is there any certain question that I should respond to that, or the general situation of Afghan refugees here I should talk about?
Well, we are speaking about this announcement. We're having a round of statements regarding this division of complexity of experience and ideology, and how it impacts the. Also, we're speaking a lot about political subjectivity of people experiencing war, and also refugees and racism too, a little bit. So it's basically everyone is giving their statements.
Hello?
as regarding do you hear me?
Hello? Hello, sorry.
You don't hear me at all?
Can you hear me? No, I cannot hear you.
Everyone else is, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. So it's only Amena. If I speak louder, do you hear me?
Hello?
No? Mm. I'm trying again. Do you hear me, Amena? Now, Amena is the last one. I could maybe, Vika, maybe could you please? Oh, yeah, maybe it's an idea. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone for your statements. I'm really I want to have a long conversation with everyone, but it was still very, very nice to hear you all here, and very important for me, I think, and for others. And we will have a short break until 6. It's perfect timing now. And then we will listen to Amena, hopefully, and continue into discussion. Yeah.
Wait, wow, I had my camera on. I thought it was off. It was like moving around. Yeah, sorry. I mean, I think, I don't know what's the reason, but I tried to speak into the translation channels because I thought this could be a reason, but I think it was different. Yeah, you don't hear me as well, apparently now. So maybe But it's strange that at the same time, I mean, a sound was connected, like we could hear her, because it's usually both.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Can
Now
you
can you
hear us?
hear me? Yeah, now I can hear you.
Nice. Yeah, now it's working. Then we have a small break for like 12 minutes, and then we can just start with your statement, and then have a discussion afterwards.
Yeah, okay, great. So until everyone is coming back, Amena, are you there? Ah, no, not there. Okay. Just wanted to give a recap. Yes, the question is, Amena, are you back?
Yeah, I am here.
Ah, perfect. Yeah. The break is just over now.
Okay,
So,
there was written 18 o'clock. 18:06.
sorry. We are all in different time zones. So yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Should
I'm
I
in
start?
Greece now, and it's 6, and yeah. I just wanted. I wonder if you heard me. Like, we are like you asked about what to speak, and I was just saying that we all speak about like we speak we say whatever we want, and in the relation to the text that we send you, like about this separation of experience of war and ideology and politics, like this claim that body is not political, that is present in different contexts of exploitation, also in racist separations of refugees. Yeah, so whatever you want to say about it will be fine. But also, if you want to say anything else, also like, and please say a few words about yourself first. We all did it.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, as you said, I am Amena Rahemy from Afghanistan. It's 10 months and 3 days I'm living in Germany. After the collapse of whole Afghanistan, I was evacuated to Germany by my previous office that I was working with him. It was a German institution in Afghanistan, a big project of Foreign Ministry of Germany in Afghanistan. Before coming to the situations that happened to Afghanistan, I want to mention that, for example, in 1 year ago, before and before that, all people in Afghanistan was really motivated, and all of them was working for their aims and wishes and hopes for their lives. All of them were.
Amina, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could you speak a bit louder, because some people can't hear you right now?
Oh, sorry. Now, can you hear me? Okay. All people and all generation, the children, the young generation, and the old people, all of them were somehow motivated, and they wanted to have a well life in Afghanistan, and all were somehow doing their part or share for development of their life and their country. And always there was somehow making a bad picture of or a fake picture of Afghanistan for the international community or people, that all this was somehow shown the old or the bad pictures of Afghanistan, like maybe it was for the time being before 15 or 18 years ago. Um, Still, some of the states or provinces of Afghanistan is somehow not well developed, but we had the big more cities like Herat, Kabul, Balkh, Kandahar, Jalalabad. These 3 and 5 states were really good developed. All the people were really motivated, and all of them somehow all of the young generation was trying to continue to their educations, especially while the capacity of governmental educational institutions was not really big. So most of the people were trying to pay for private universities to do their higher educations more and more. And we had good developments in business, as that there were lots of women created their own companies. There were lots of men. They had very good semi-modern and equipped companies that most of the food and other stuff were producing inside Afghanistan, and also we need lots of other things that was imported from other countries. But my mean is that we had really good developments and promotions in business, in education, in culture, in health department, in art department, media, and all over was really good and somehow concernable promotion and development. But unfortunately, as everyone knows, that last year in August, the whole country was collapsed, and now there is Islamic Emirat country that unfortunately all of the elders or all of the higher positions of this government are somehow illiterate, or some of them that they are literate, but they are not. Their belief is not like educated people from international United community, and the main idea is that they should live, or they should create a life for all people of Afghanistan, like for 14 or 13 centuries ago, our Prophet Muhammad was living with that conditions. Somehow they do not believe for this promotion and technology and every life facilities that nowadays people should use that. This big or bad idea of Taliban or Emirat country made the life of people, especially life of women, very hard and unsensible for those who believe for promotion, for development, for being free human, and for being a person who can do and live in 21st century. For this reason, was that most of those people who are educated and who are active in different sectors and fields, they are trying to come out of Afghanistan, or some of countries are willing to accept them as refugees, like me, that now I'm in Germany. I was evacuated by my previous office here. Since I was working for German institutions, and I was somehow not the same, not same to the all people and generation of
those who believe to life like Prophet Muhammad as 13 centuries ago. So some countries are trying to accept those who are somehow the talents of Afghanistan, those who have a good power, those who have good possibilities or abilities in every field or in every criteria that other countries need. But unfortunately, the bad thing is that these countries who are trying to accept Afghan people as refugees somehow want to or is trying to give a second position or a second-hand chances or this to somehow count these refugees not as a as their own nationality to have the right or have the chances, opportunities to do whatever all they want. Especially as all the people somehow they are witness that people who are coming from Afghanistan, Syria, Iran, or other third countries who are coming to Europe, they were used to somehow for low level activities or low level business and low level jobs to be somehow busy with that and not to have chance to somehow think or make a better life for themselves like European people. But nowadays in last years it's somehow changed or it is somehow changing, and some of these people, I mean those who are in their countries, the talents of their nationality, now they want to try this concept, try to change this concept and to show or to prove that those people who come to other countries as refugees or they are obligated to immigrate from their country to somewhere else, they should not be treated as a second human or as a second nationality of a country. And nowadays we are witnessing that lots of refugees who are living in second or third countries for long years, they are getting lots of good and the best achievements in their life in business, in sport, or in even in politics. And also I want to mention that these people like me that are coming from Afghanistan in last year, from Afghanistan to Germany, especially the young generation of Afghanistan now is coming here, but somehow to be separated from their own country, from their families and relatives and their whole life is impossible to be easily accepted for us, and it's making too much tension, too much stress for all of us that we were having, or we were trying to have really motivated life over there. And now everyone or us are separated in different countries, in different states of each country. For example, I'm here in Germany, in Bremen. I'm really alone here. Even I don't have any classmate or any friends that I had friendship with her or him in Afghanistan. And my other friends are evacuated to Germany. They are now living here, but in other far states that easily we cannot get access to each other. So in this situation, all of us are somehow experiencing and witnessing too much mental stress, especially for the first months and the first year. It is really hard for Afghan people. The main reason maybe that somehow we had a social life in Afghanistan. We were living with our families, even that we were older than 18, or even sometimes if someone didn't like or didn't have the chance to get married until to get old or even to die, they were living with their parents, and the social life somehow made uh, too many big families, that lots of brother and sisters that they have their own big families or still living together, like my family. We were living more than 50 people together. My father with his three brothers, that all of them had big families. We were living all together, and somehow living together makes us the life connected to each other, and we cannot easily accept or easily uh, to easily handle the situation to be far from whole our family. Uh, so it will be really hard and it is really hard for us to experience such a situation here. In addition to this, while we are arrived here, we are experiencing some how should I say, maybe discrimination from government departments, or even sometimes from people on the streets, uh, that they are somehow not willing to accept us in the society, or if they are obligated to accept us in the society, they are not good behaving with us. Like I had experience of some bus drivers that while I was wearing hijab, and I was alone in one train station or bus station, they didn't stop for me because I was wearing a hijab. Or when I was uh, I'm mixing the words, frank, I was sick, I went to the doctors, the secretaries of the doctors, or the people who are working in hospital. They were obligating me to speak in German. In addition to that I was only living in Germany for few months only. A few months is really uh, really short time for a person to learn a second language. But since somehow we see that German people are too much nationalist, they are trying to force all the people to be like them, or at least to accept the national rules of this society here, even at the first, if it is impossible, for example, speaking in the second language, or to get to know the rules of living in a society very soon, or to get to know the traffic regulations and everything that life has in Germany. People here are expecting us to accept or to know all the rules on the first day. It's really hard for us because we didn't have any plan to come to Germany and live for a long time here. So we didn't have any preparation for this. We didn't study about the culture here. We didn't learn about the social policies here. So we need time to know all of these, and we need time to be able to act according these regulations or laws here. In addition to this nationalist idea of German people, after the war in Ukraine, we are witnessing bigger discrimination for refugees who are coming from different countries. as all maybe have heard in the news that the authorities are taking out refugees from their homes or from the immigration camp to place Ukrainian refugees over there. I'm not against this to help Ukrainian people. I really like to help those people who need to be helped. Even in some events, in some conferences, I have announced that as I was an active in Afghanistan, so I want to be active here as well. Every institution or office who need me to work with them as a volunteer, I'm ready to work with them, since I cannot have a full-time job because of German language, that I'm not really good in this, and now I'm going to German language course. I mean that myself, I am willing to help Ukrainian people, but in addition to this, I am willing to help all the people who are in bad situation, who need our help. For example, the refugees from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Turkey, or anywhere else that are coming to here, that in this area that I am living, in this area that I can be a person to help them, or to support them. But making a big difference between these refugees that have the same condition in their countries and the same obligations that they lived all their life and achievements and their whole country back in their country, and now they are coming to Germany. All should be treated the same. All have same obligations. All are same humans, a human being created by God. Only the color of his skin, I think it's not a big matter. It is only due to the weather, the changes of weather in every countries. It caused different different colors of skin. So it doesn't mean that one color is better than the second one, or the second one is worse than the first one. I actually really feel, and from deep of my heart, I feel the situation of Ukrainian people, since we had for decades internal war in Afghanistan, and since I was 3 or 4 years old, we were displaced from our city to somewhere else. And I remember some of the nights that shooting were going on from over the house that we were living over there. I remember those times that we were escaping from our city to the mountains to be alive over there. So it's the same situation with Ukrainian people now here. So Afghan people, Syrian people, or everyone else, all of them are human. They can feel the situation of other humans that they are seeing, or they are experiencing. But this should not be treated differently between each and every human. But I don't know, and I'm really sorry about this situation, and I'm really sorry about this, that I, as a human being, even that I am really willing to help Ukrainian people, but I don't have the capacity, maybe, or the opportunities or chances to help Ukrainian people and other refugees as well. And I hope for equal living condition for all the people. And, thank you.
Thank you very much, Amena. It was a great ending, and thank you for your words. And yeah, I really appreciate that. Again, we will go immediately into discussion, and not to disrespect any of the speakers, in the sense that, like, I feel like after every speech I need a break to, like, kind of emotionally process. So I think it could have been tough for some people to emotionally process all the speeches, but we have also to, like, everyone is probably tired from 2 hours, to move on slowly. First thing, I'm asking everyone who is willing to put maybe their pronouns on their screens, if you want, just in case that that we don't misgender you, if you don't want this. Like this, I am trying to use names, but whoever wants to, like, add their pronouns, they're welcome. And so we will. I see a hand. Yeah. And but also I want to say that participants who are not panelists, thank you for your patience, and I'm happy to see you there. I saw your names, and I'm really, like, excited to see some of my friends there too. So you're welcome to write in the Q&A whatever questions you have in Russian, English, Ukrainian, Greek, German, I would say, because
Vita,
Vita is frozen.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe I would just meanwhile say that this discussion space, as we saw that, it's for participants of our panel. So basically panelists can talk to each other. And it's also for participants who are listening to us. But if you feel like you want to ask a question with your face visible and your voice, that's also possible. I can make you a member of the panel, so you can just write into the chat. I can do this, or you can write your question into the chat and we will read it out. Yeah, so you can choose the way you participate in the discussion.
Okay, let's wait for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes till Vita will come back, and yeah, I believe it's gonna happen.
yeah, have you started yet? No. Okay. So thank you. So Q&A, please write your questions there, the participants, and raise your hands, like if you want to comment on any of the speeches or ask a question or whatever, and we will start with Natasha then.
Yes, thank you. I tried to ask my question to Amena in English, but if I had some mistakes, so please feel free to admire me. So Amena, thank you a lot for your very, very interesting monologue and for your very interesting sharing experience to be a migrant from Afghanistan. And I'd like to mark a very important topic of your speaking in about some kind of privileges between the difference of migrant. So I have a very similar crossroads between topic which Anya, my colleague, marked in her part of manifestation, and I would like ask you about, do you have a maybe personal opinion or personal understanding why the Ukrainian migrants, for example, have a very different gap between migrants with from the other countries. Is it religious or maybe about skin color or something like that? Yes. And Anya, would you like to make some after Amena, if you want to make some marks about your part of manifestation? I'd like to listen it once more. So thank you.
I don't know, shall I just answer right away? I mean, just say yes and then let Amena speak.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I'll speak after then, of course.
Can you hear me? Hello?
yeah, we hear you. You can speak up a little bit because you're a bit low for some people with bad headphones. So yeah,
Okay.
like me.
Okay. Thank you, Anna, for your question. Actually, I do not want to respond to this question very, what should I say, surely, because I'm not too much sure, and I don't know the real reason back of this activities or back of this discrimination between refugees from each country. But as we have heard in media, some of the people, some of German people who had interview with some media, they were telling that we should accept Ukrainian people to our country, and we should give them our homes. We should support them. We should open our borders for them because they have yellow color of their hair, yellow hair. So they are somehow she was saying that yeah she was saying that Ukrainian people have same hair color to German people. It was one of the interviews I have heard in one of medias. Maybe it can be the belief of some other people or most of the people, but I'm not telling it is the belief of all the 100% of the people. Second thing can be region, like North region and East region. So somehow those who are geographically close to us, somehow they can be close emotionally as well to us. It is one of the human being feelings that maybe sometimes if in Afghanistan we had a good condition to experience such situation, I'm not 100% sure that we didn't do so. Maybe we did also same thing, that those who are from our region, those who are closer to us, so we are willing to accept them easier and better than other. And the second thing can be also religious connections. I'm really sure about this reasons. For example, sometimes Iran is an Islamic country. They are willing to prepare or to make better condition for some of tourists or some people who want to live in Iran. But if they are Muslim, Iran country are preparing or making for them better situation. It is totally 100% sure that in Germany or in Europe, people are willing to accept or to share their life with those who are in same religion with them. And also economy can be another part of this as well, as I heard, or we can read in news that Ukraine was producing lots of agricultural protections for the whole Europe, especially for Germany. So those who have somehow or those who are beneficial for us, we will try to support them better instead of those who didn't have any clues or direct benefit for us. These all can be, and all of these are possible, but I'm not telling that it's 100%. It can be so, and sometimes political relations are the main reason or the main um, bridge or the main thing that countries decide based of their political interests as well. This is my belief, but it's not 100% truth or can be 100% truth.
Thank you. And Anna, do you
Yeah.
want to add something about this manifesto?
I actually really I recognized a lot of words in what Amena has just said, because it was exactly the same in France. We have to accept Ukrainian refugees, but well, the argument was even more stupid because they own same cars. And I'm like, okay, I mean, what is the connection between, I don't know, like some Afghani people who don't really have same cars and the fact of accepting someone? So for me, it's like, it's quite ridiculous. And yeah, I totally spot the same situation here. Is that in the meantime, Ukrainian refugees were getting like the best of support. Well, it was not really long lasting. And at the same time, there were some refugees from other countries slipping under the bridge. And no, it didn't really disturb anyone at the same time, And I just remember a friend of mine was riding a car, and there was like a big billboard like "Save Ukraine" or "Help Ukraine," and under this billboard in France there were two kids or like Romani people, a family, like begging for money. So again, and I think it happens on very many levels, because we have refugees from other countries who are not helped, but the same we have also homeless people from European Union who are not helped either. So, and this becomes also a never-ending discussion that it's been very often taken over by the far-right groups saying, oh, we don't have to help foreigners because we don't have look at the streets, there are plenty of French people who are starving, or elderly French homeless people that are not helped and not taken care of. And so it's like, as if we were in a sort of supermarket, and we would put in our cards a refugee or a homeless person that we prefer to help. And yeah, it's like, or a video game where you have to pick up whatever ingredients that you have. So yeah, unfortunately. And the same but it also caused a quite interesting reaction in the art field, because a lot of French artists were quite unhappy about the fact that Ukrainian refugees are getting an extra funding, because French Ministry of Culture kind of granted Ukrainian art with an extra funding of 64 million euros, something that we actually cannot even find where where this money is located. And a lot of French artists started saying, well, okay, but we are still here, we are rarely paid, so why do we have to kind of give extra money to Ukrainians, whereas us as artists, we are never supported? And it's a thing that I totally understand, and I can feel them but I think it's just this systematic violence that creates this very twisted and spooky relationship between people, putting each other against each other and creating like never-ending competitive ambience within within one paradigma of all the victims of capitalist system, so which is quite intelligent, I would say. Thank you. I think I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely. Yeah, Katya, please.
I have little notice. So I told and I tell again that many Ukrainian women who haven't professional как бы связи.
Connections.
Как я могу забыть? Professional connections or haven't money, some money for first time they return to Ukraine, because we have many story when Ukrainian women got for example, accommodation for 3 months, but after that they haven't accommodation and they returned to Ukraine if they didn't find a job. And I want to say that this situation, I think earlier said about the situation as privileged Ukrainian refugees, because in future, I think the situation will be as in other refugees. And money which got Ukrainian women for children and for them, it's not enough even for 10 days to buy it, for it during the 10 days, but this money they got for 1 month. And if you haven't your own money and you haven't professional connection, or you haven't, for example, maybe this privilege, it's not about government support, because many people, many Ukrainian people got support not from government, but from other people. And many people can stay here first time because some family, some Austrian family or Polish family got these people, eat and their own flat, but it's not government support, it's support from private person. And maybe you said about this privilege, but from government, I spoke in Poland and in Austria with with people who, for example, get accommodation for artists, and they said that government don't help with it. It's initiative of art community in Austria or art community in Poland. And I don't know. Yes. If you, for example, I know stories from other women who got placed in villa, for example, for not house in the village, for example, which Austrian people use usually only in summer, and this house got women. Yes, so. And I think that in 1 year, for example, if the situation with war will going on, we have Ukrainian people homeless Ukrainian people in Europe too. And many, of course, return and die. They return and stay in dangerous situation or die. So thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Katya. Marina, you are the next. We don't have anyone else. Marina, you're raising hand. Okay. You have a raised hand, Marina.
Да.
And do you... okay.
Я хотела...
Прости.
Я хотела сказать о том, что для меня очень страшно звучит словосочетание «привилегированные беженцы». Вот. И Ну, тут такая простая штука помнить об отношениях власти. Вот. То есть, да, есть какие-то люди, которые кому-то дают больше, кому-то дают меньше. Вот. То те, кому дают больше, они не являются привилегированными, хотя бы потому, что это точно такие же люди без власти, но которым почему-то дали больше сегодня. Вот. И, ну, как бы я вот сейчас нахожусь, ну, я сейчас вот эта самая украинская беженка, вот, я живу в одной комнате с 4 членами своей семьи, вот, кошкой и собакой, и чувствую, что мы уже живем здесь 3 месяца, и нам здесь уже не очень рады. Вот. На самом деле я понимаю, что то, что дали мне, это минимально не очень дотягивает до того, что, в общем-то, должны гарантировать права человека. И вопрос задается неверно. Вопрос не в том, почему украинским беженцам дали больше. Вопрос в том, почему другим дают меньше, чем должны гарантировать права человека. Вот.
Thank you. Спасибо, Марина. Даже не знаю, на каком языке отвечать. Okay, I switched to English. Sorry. Yeah, I think it was also like this is a trick for me also. That's why I think that it was also in the text like this hierarchization of refugees. It's also like based on the separation of experience and like and what is called politics, or like how we solve this issue, whatever issue. It's not issue, it's people. So I think it's like this very system, this very system is faulty. Like the way this very system treats every refugee is like very problematic. It's just, yes, it's just like Ukrainians are in that situation now, but there were a lot of things mentioned throughout statements today about like objectification or this help from position of power, and I think these are all big questions. So, we have a question from Vika. I will just read it aloud. So Vika has a question to Anna. Do you think that being a BIPOC Ukrainian raised person challenges this system somehow? Sorry for assuming that you can answer it.
I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure that I understand properly the question. Can you repeat or restate? Sorry about this.
Yeah, sorry, I need to get out of translation for this. Yeah, sorry, I'm like being a bit racist when asking this question also, which I know about. But apparently if you have a Ukrainian origin, and also perhaps what we also have heard from like when we were discussing like the constellation of participants of our group, you might have a parent who is of Asian origin, or like part of your family are not the Ukrainians which we perceive as the Ukrainians. Maybe like your own position, I don't know, in the West might be some kind of, I don't know, a trigger or a challenging thing for Westerners to understand. I don't know, because there is this kind of perception of what a person from Ukraine is, and then they see a person whom they assume who they perceive as Asian person, and then they're like, oh my God. So I don't know. I mean, I heard it from some people in Berlin whom I know who have a similar background of being a non-Slavic person and growing up in Ukraine. So I thought if you have this kind of experience, maybe it would be nice to add this complexity, because I think it's sometimes unclear to some people that it exists.
Thank you. I mean, it's I don't know if my son, now I'm in the bathroom. I'm isolating myself from the rest of with my family. Yeah, it's a great question because indeed I have this kind of misunderstanding. Like I face this misunderstanding quite often. And I have one case which was very funny, and it happened before the beginning of the war. I was back from I don't know which country, and so I was at the customs or the airport, and so at the desk there were two officers with customs. One of them was kind of Arabic looking, well, to generalize, and another one has a kind of dark complexion, so maybe African or mix of African and whatever. And so I used to have my Ukrainian passport. Now I'm a French citizen. So they were like, "Oh, Ukrainian. I would never say so. How come? How come that you're Ukrainian? We imagined Ukrainians, blah, 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 blah." Well, you can imagine the speech. And I was like, well, and I got so angry at them. And I'm like, "Are you French?" And they were like, "Yeah. I imagined French differently because you look more Arabic and you are black. So like, how come that you're French?" And they were like, "Ugh." I was, yeah, I mean, perpetrating racism while being a person of color, it's, you know, being an instrument of racism. So at the end, like we had this very long and painful conversation for 10 minutes, and people standing in the line behind me got super angry. But I actually, you know, they agreed at some point. Well, at least one of them. So I face this, I would say that I faced double racism because also in French mentality, well, I suppose it's not only French, but like European mentality. Asian women are also very fetish, kind of, you know, you have this fetish around Asian women. And here it's a bonus, it's an Asian woman, but also she's a Slavic. So she's like, you know, has to be very, you know, very humble, like, you know, all these Chinese, you know, cats that bow like that. I've always faced this, and yeah, oh, you're Slavic, but I don't understand. In the best case, people would tell me, oh, maybe you are from Kazakhstan. Like, okay, like, yeah, somewhere close to this. And at some point I was inventing some strategies to make them feel bad. And so sometimes I would say, no, I was adopted and apparently my parents died, so I don't really know why I look like this. So people would feel very bad. And I was like, okay, what else next? And or sometimes they would say, oh, you're Asian. I was like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. So, you know, this kind of this constant layering, it's like, you know, a pie of different layers of racism, especially in French. They tend to start the conversation saying, where are you from? And like, this is so, you know, so awkward and so violent and, you know, just like a very intrusive way. Whereas for them, for like an average white French citizen, it's a good way to start a conversation because they think that you must be from somewhere else. And so they could eventually find out something else about your culture. So it's not constantly aggressive, but I perceive it as a very aggressive way. Or sometimes, you know, a lot of African descendant friends, they also face this like nonstop. Where are you from? I'm from Paris. And your parents, where are they from? They are from Lyon, another French city. And so, you know, but you know perfectly well what's behind this question. So why are you black, or why are you Asian? Why are you like Arabic looking? And and I always try to reverse it in a way. Like I remember the person who asked me, oh, do you have Japanese origins? I was like, do you have German origins? And they're like, you know, oh, okay, sorry, I understand that this is kind of not appropriate. I don't know if I responded to your question. Sorry, it was too long, I think.
No, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing. I think it's really crucial to make this picture of what a Ukrainian person is more complex. Yeah, and also, I mean, maybe like in the next years, we'll also see how it influences the whole perception of, I don't know, this constellations of refugees in the West, because I think now maybe it's too immediate to understand if actually there is this. And also I wanted to say that, like, as organizers, we couldn't invite to this discussion because of like too late the people answered us, and it was too late to move the date from the organization of Black students and students of color who haven't grown up in Ukraine but who have spent some time there, and then they had to flee. And that's also another like layer of this complexity, because they also don't have passports, so it's kind of another level of marginalization then. Yeah, and this system, I think, is not perceived as in all this kind of aspects of it, when every time when Ukrainian refugees in quotation marks are discussed.
Yeah, bye, Arkide. Thank you so much. It was, yeah, okay. So, yeah, some speakers are leaving already and we can understand them. But also, I really am enjoying this discussion. And yeah, I can, as an organizer, I can just add, I have a lot of comments and questions, but it was also a very full discussion and a very full, like, all the speakers touched a lot, like, touched upon a lot of complexity, and that's why it's really rich. You don't want to add something. So as an organizer, I can also say that we tried to, as much as possible, make this discussion inclusive, but also there were some failures. And it's also connected both to hasten it, to, like, our wish to make it now, but also to our mental state, at least to my, like, war doesn't leave you like think somehow really straight. So yeah, I just filled in some time. So anyone else a question? Like maybe two last questions, or two last comments, Q&A, chat, whoever wants to say something. Yeah, so that we can have a some.
I think I would like to read out loud one of the comments in the chat, which Kira Shnurova wrote. She mentions disabled or neurodivergent people. They're like objective bodies, objects for charity, or just left behind. Also, the war produces disabilities. And I would like to thank Kira for this really important addition to the discussion, because yeah, I mean, it's also about the complexity of being like vulnerable or yeah, just like other in or othered in many directions. And of course, yeah, people with disabilities face also like even more struggles being inside of war. And yeah.
We have a comment in Q&A. I will just read it aloud. Yeah, or so there is an anonymous comment, and I came from Russia, and for me, when people ask where are you from as the first question, without even asking name or pronoun, is always big red flag, and I always protested. I think it's a good allyship and way to educate people, but now I feel maybe it's a way to hide from some kind of responsibility. I'm not sure if I should change the way I react to this question. What do you think is a good way? I feel like Europeans are not offering any complexity to anyone from Eastern Europe. Oh, yeah, I can respond a little bit immediately and give some people who want maybe to respond some time to speak, to think. Like yeah, it's just true that like I have been living in Germany for 2 years, and but also I occasionally come to Greece, and Eastern European people, like I was born in Ukraine, and are very easily exoticized. They, like in Greece, a lot of Ukrainian people came in 90s to do the housework and sex work. So the first, like, it was like I had this incident pretty triggering in the street where a person assumed like from coming, like it was beginning of war and I was outside and the person like from Greece said, oh, you're from Ukraine, how much do you cost? Like this was the two first things that I've heard. And yeah, I didn't tell you, Marina, because it's, I think I blocked it. So, but also like in Germany, people, like a lot of doctors, like I had this funnily different from Anna funny story. Like it was a dermatologist that was like, oh, you're so white. Are you really from Ukraine? It was also before the war. Are you really from Ukraine? You should be darker. People are darker there. Like people are that white only in Northern Europe. Like that. Such stories. So there are really multiple layers of exposition. And yeah, so maybe does anyone want to answer, respond, comment on that thing?
Yeah, I could say as a person from Russia that like my parents who ask me sometimes, like they are okay with their political views, but they are just, you know, their parents, and they assume that I, being in, for example, in some European country, can face problems being from Russia. So they, for example, say me like, maybe if somebody asks you where are you from, you could say from Uzbekistan, because my father is from Uzbekistan and I was born there. And I was like, no, like why? But I understand that for them it's just a way to I don't know, avoid some potential, I don't know what. But for me it's also, yeah, it's like, why should I answer this? Because yeah, it's exactly avoiding responsibility for me, like, you know, to avoid the question where you're from now. Yeah, and I think that I invent a strategy to, you know, not to be afraid of this like question and answer, and possibly try to make it the beginning of some conversation. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this conversation, but everyone is slowly leaving. So do we agree? Yeah, it's like half of people stayed from what it was. So do we agree to end it now? And maybe we have also common chat with the panelists. Please feel free to write whatever you want to write about, like some comments and questions, maybe to some speakers and to us.
Can I add something?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not showing my face because I have a mask on, on it. No, but I just actually wanted to thank you out loud for this amazing opportunity. And I wanted to know, how can we continue? Are there any, I don't know, like any future options? Because I think it's a lot, 3 hours, but it's never enough. So I don't know, like if you're planning on any extra events or maybe physical meetings even, I don't know.
I mean, I can say that maybe like resource-wise and concept-wise, I was thinking the same, because me and Marina will also organize things for like different indigenous groups of Russia who now start to speak against war. And with that, I had the same moment when it was not clear how to continue, and I was thinking about it. And I thought maybe it would have sense to, like, in addition to an event like this, where you had like this role of panelists, maybe to then make also a discussion space, which will be without statements, but with like you as speakers, but also people who will not just register, but maybe write why they want to participate. So we know who are they, and they're not like trolls or weird people. Then they can also participate, and it will be like a normal Zoom meeting. That was my idea, that things like this can follow up, for example, from a more formal event. So if you would be interested, we can, I don't know, find a space, find a day which will be for you as speakers, okay, and then like announce that there is this open space format, and then make like a Google form for people to register with like a question why they want to participate. And then I think maybe it will make sense, yeah, because this kind of webinar format is also necessary, because I don't know, right now, maybe it's not this kind of situation, but I had a lot of cases organizing just like feminist online events where it was stormed by some random people. So yeah, but if we do it with Google Form, I think it will be okay.
I think it's a very good idea, because I think we really can meet again and speak. Yes, today we have many time, but I think we need more. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and also there is another idea which was from Camila and Dasha, like my colleagues from Ukraine who live in Berlin. And we want to organize also at some point quite close a discussion about perceptions in the Western left of the situation of Ukraine. And also apparently like our participants had some idea about it. For example, I think Elif said that Elif was in Greece often, and apparently they have the same experience as Vita in the Greek left, and I know how the German left thinks and speaks about it. And I mean, also like all of these groups have their own sentiments, which really deserve respect, which I didn't know. Like the thing about NATO in Greece has a really long and like painful history, and Germany has this kind of idea of never again Germany can have an army or like militarize or do anything with the army. There is like another vibe. And I think this can be mentioned, but also like criticized. Some stereotypes can be criticized, or statements which are voiced here. So something like this we will also probably have this summer. So if you're interested, I will send you when we will have more detailed idea.
Also, Elif and Orchidea, who has left already, they shared some experiences that can be really like, to say useful, but I mean, they faced wars and like before, and they have already some, I don't know, like methodologies how to deal with it. And it was really short, like they just put a statement, but we haven't time to like, you know, to discuss it more. And I'm really interested in this, and they are already left. So yeah, it would be great to continue.
Sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was like really struggling to find this hand, but I didn't. But I wanted to suggest maybe if we could go like by smaller groups, because when there are a lot of people, like you are forced to kind of reduce your intervention, and since the time of speaking also it's quite short, I don't know, maybe like creating a series of meetings, but let's say by 3-4 people, and then the following months like 4 or 3 people. So just you have like a really fully the time to develop and to go in depth with all the ideas. And
yeah, can I respond, because I wanted to respond to some things before?
I'm sorry.
First, to what Anna? Yeah, I'm just saying to Vika who wanted to respond to it. So, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the idea, and I would really like to do that, but I'm also like low on resources. But we could also discuss it more with Vika and Marina and with you and with others, and I don't know. But I like it as an idea. I like it a lot, actually, to like slow speaking, because I really enjoyed everyone's statement today, and I really wanted to comment and to ask a lot more, so I had to really like pull myself back from it. But also, I just wanted to mention that Orchidea is like part of this transnational migrants coordination that she mentioned, and you're welcome to they have Facebook, they have, I will just write it down and I can write it then in our chat, and yeah, you can follow them. And what I like about them, just a second. So what I like about them at the moment is that they are like, unlike a lot of other activist initiatives, what they're trying to do now is to find a basis of connection between different refugees and migrants, and they discuss and criticize a lot of the system of social reproduction, and in relation to the topic of war too. And yeah, to that, sorry, Vika, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to say that maybe let's talk about it more, and I don't know, maybe vote, I don't know, or something if necessary, because I think there are like these 2 formats are both possible. The one with like smaller groups and panels, or the one with open space, where those who have only been able to listen to us could also comment if they want. Like in terms of efficiency, smaller groups are better, definitely. That's why people make podcasts, and then you can get deeper into different topics. But yeah, we can think about it.
Yeah, it's also yeah, okay, yeah, we can discuss it. Let's maybe leave people to have some rest. And I'm also really grateful to Marina and Vika for doing a lot of organizational work, which is really a hard and invisible work. And everyone else who came and all of the speakers,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep in touch and see what we do next. Thank you very much for coming and doing and organizing everything.
yeah, and it was also really nice to meet some people with faces like Katja and some other people. I'm so happy just to see you in like almost real world. Natasha, right? And Ellie. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy to see you, and I hope that we meet again.